last year I've done accelerated free fall. So I jumped out of the plane with a parachute, just as you do. That was easy. Jumping out of the plane with a parachute was easy. The taking the step and moving from your cushy GM position to running your own business and you're then on your own and you guide everything yourself, that was much bigger step.
You became a coach to help people, but no one told you how to build the business behind it. Welcome to Coach as Entrepreneur, the show for coaches building real businesses with systems, strategy, and heart. Build the systems, serve your clients, and support your families. Lukasz, thank you for joining me today.
Hey David, how are you?
I'm doing great. I've been really looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, and thank you very much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to sharing my experiences and my views on starting your own coaching practice.
Yeah, so let's kind of start with what were you doing before coaching? Because you were in the military and you were doing something a little bit different than some of the maybe other people would have been doing in the military. So can you kind of explain?
Well, so my time in the military was relatively short. That was only a couple of years, but I was in a reconnaissance unit. I was leading a squad in a reconnaissance unit, so that gave me quite specific experience back then. And I think because it was in my early 20s, the way I feel about it was almost engraved in me, in my personality. So that stuck with me throughout my later career. Sometimes intense, sometimes very regular, whatever you would do in the military, but it was definitely very defining experience for me.
I would imagine as something like the military, because it's taking up, even if it is a shorter amount of years, it's still a significant part of your life, and it's. I would imagine you had a lot of learning and going through a lot of different trials and experiences in that time.
It is also because I was put in a position where I was in command, so I went through appropriate training and I became a squad leader. And so even the process of training that was very intensive. But then later on, when you take on the responsibility of number of other people, and it's not just in ordinary situations where you just deal with ordinary problems, but also in a situations where a lot is at stake, and you need to make fast decisions under pressure, very often under pressure. I think that's when you learn a lot and you realize how your decisions impact others and impact a lot of what's happening around you. But very good experience, absolutely.
So I would imagine that going from military and then coming out of the military and going into civilian life, when you were given leadership roles and other experiences, those would have been comparatively a little bit easier, I guess.
In a way, yes, because there is obviously less pressure, and your actions don't have such a profound impact as when you are leading a team in a very sometimes difficult situations. So my career later on, I started from zero, really. So I started from the lowest position, and there was a moment when I just needed to kind of have a conversation with myself and just become a bit humble and just simply start learning once again, the profession, and learning what I can do. So that was just different situation, but I was trying to approach it in the way that, as probably most people would approach. That's something new. I need to learn it. That's what I want to do, and I need to learn it well to be, a good professional.
Yeah.
So yes, different type of experience, different type of life, but still very interesting.
Yeah. So when you came out of the military and kind of got into civilian life, what was the kind of work that you were doing?
Right. So when I come out from military, I was wondering, trying to do many things. I did run my own small business for some time. And as many people, in your early 20s or mid 20s, you are thinking, what next? And as it happens sometimes in life. For me, by accident, I got into a casino industry. So I enrolled on a training course to be a casino croupier, and I became a croupier after a few months and started working in the casino industry. So that's how my whole career in the, as it's being called, highly regulated hospitality industry started. So again, a little bit of similarity to military, I think for me was that you still have to follow a lot of processes and there is a lot of rules and regulations around it. So that was the part which I found very easy. For me, it wasn't something that came hard to accept. But yeah, so basically I became a croupier at that stage. I became a croupier in a casino, and that's how my career in the casino industry started.
Just briefly, then, can you walk us through how you went from a casino croupier to coach?
Yes, well, so you see, I was in the casino industry for over 20 years. Went through all the stages of the career. So after a few years, I became inspector, then became a pit boss or floor manager, and then eventually I became a casino general manager or casino director. So then that's when I got to the point when I was leading very large operations, quite large team with really big turnovers as well. As you can imagine, in a casino, there's a lot of money going on. Various teams as well, because the operation itself had very different departments. So that was a different type for me, but I got to that point through training and growing. So I was always putting a lot of pressure for myself on constant development. So eventually I got to the point when I became a casino general manager. Now, at that point, after a few years, and I'm not sure whether it was the fact that I've achieved very much as much as I could achieve in that industry, or maybe my age and becoming a bit more mature, or maybe combination of both. I just felt that there is something else that I would like to do, that I would like to share my knowledge and experience with other people, maybe in a similar position, maybe managers that are, looking to grow and develop themselves. So that took me to a point when I started looking into possibly the possibility of coaching. I got a call from someone from one of the coaching institutes, and yeah, and the guy pretty much said, you know what, why don't you enroll in our course and maybe you could do executive coaching if that's something that you're interested in. You have all that experience from your professional career. Why don't you try doing that? So that's how I started my coaching journey. So initially from the training, from enrolling on a course, and executive coaching itself just seemed to me like something that I would enjoy doing, and I would feel that it's going to be rewarding for me as well as for the others. So that's how I got to the coaching.
Did you have any experience with coaching prior to you kind of exploring it?
As it is often again, it's only after somebody tells you that you're doing something, you don't realize that you're actually doing it. And yes, being a general manager and managing a team of managers and a large team of staff as well, yeah, you often find yourself in a situation when you do coach. It's different. It's not as structured as coaching when you run your own coaching practice. But yes, you do coach. You sit down with managers. You have these conversations. You create goals and plans and put timeline and deadlines on it. You just don't realize that you do it sometimes. So yeah, I did have a little bit of experience prior to that.
I see. Um, so for you now, how long have you been coaching?
So I've been coaching. I've been doing part-time coaching before I left the industry already. So that's going to be, this is my third year of coaching. And this year, early this year, so from January this year, I moved on to full-time coaching. So I left the corporate, the casino industry, and moved into full-time coaching and working properly on my own coaching practice.
So for 3 years, you were still working in your previous position as a casino GM, and then doing part-time coaching. And then was this kind of the plan that you would kind of do a slow transition into coaching? What was the thing that pushed you now for this last year to go full time?
So initially, my plan was to do it gradually, and as it often is with, when you have to take such a important step, so move from your quite cushy position when you high in ranks and you're very decent salary, and then you have to move into something that is quite unknown. And this is not the first time when I ran my own business, but you just need to take the big step.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. I've spoken to someone recently and also mentioned that to someone else. Last year I've done accelerated free fall, so I jumped out of the plane with a parachute, just as you do. That was easy. Jumping out of the plane with a parachute was easy. The taking the step and moving from your cushy GM position to running your own business, and you're then on your own and you guide everything yourself, that was much bigger step. Equally exciting though, equally exciting. But yeah, for me, that's how it was. There was a little bit of, don't want to say the push, but there was a bit of within me. I could feel that I got into the point when I need to make that step as well. So just decided that it's time.
I see. I would think jumping out of a plane would be scarier, but I guess it's once you jump out, it's done. What is it about coaching that you said, I'm okay with the risk. I'm gonna take this leap?
It's the mindset and being ready for it. At some point, you need to realize that this is no one is going to make that decision for you. There are different circumstances in your life. Lots of things is happening, and people can give you an advice, but at the end of the day, it's going to have to be you making that decision and that first step. So that's how it was for me as well. I decided that it is time.
You came to a point where you needed to make a decision, but what was it about? Why did you want to be a coach in the first place? Was it just the next career move, or was there something else behind it?
No, there was much more behind it. It was really that feeling inside when you want to do something that either creates something or helps others. So for me, it was that feeling that you have to follow when you think, what, I really want to start doing something that has a lot of value to it. So in my case, it was the thought of, okay, I want to pass on my experience and knowledge to other managers to help them. I'm going to feel, good about it because I do help others. There is obviously a potential in coaching as well. So, it's not, we don't do it for free. I've done a lot of pro bono coaching as part of my qualification. It was very, very beneficial. But at the end of the day, we don't do it for free. And if you get it right, and if you are good at it, then it is rewarding, not only because you feel good about it, because you help others, but it's also rewarding financially. So it wasn't just a decision of, I want to feel good, and so I'm going to do something, but it was also a calculated decision where, okay, I'm going to do something that is going to make me feel that I am doing something very rewarding, but at the same time, how is it going to support me financially, and can I grow this? So there was
Yeah.
calculation from that side, from that perspective as well.
So as you started coaching, who were the people you were coaching? Was it other GMs or people in your organization? Who were the kind of people you were looking at to work for or to work with?
Yeah. Well, so you see, as an executive coach or business coach, because they are similar in the way, in some aspects. As an executive coach, you are meant to be coaching senior managers, senior leaders. So, as I mentioned already, as part of my qualification, I needed to do a number of pro bono coaching hours. So in my case, it was 60 pro bono coaching hours. So I started looking for people who would benefit from that, from a little bit of free coaching from my side. So for me to gain more practical experience, and for them, to have a coach. But on purpose, I was looking for someone who is not coming from my environment or my industry, just to see how it is to work with people from other industries, especially when you're for so long in the same industry. It's very difficult to fall into the same mindset when you talk to others, and then it comes very easy when coaching needs to be challenging. And in my case, it needed to be challenging for them, for the coaches, but also for me. So I was purposely looking for people from outside of my industry. I got quite lucky, to be honest. I My first person to coach was a chief of staff from New York, working for quite large law firm. I also had a COO, also from America, from Miami. A very interesting situation there. I had IT director, project directors, mainly people in the senior management positions. That's what I was aiming at, and that's what I got.
How were you able to go about finding these people for your clients?
Yeah, well, you see, I think with people understand that coaching is quite valuable, especially in America. That was one of my first observations, especially in the States, but also in the GCC region or in many Asian countries as well. People see a lot of value in coaching. So when you advertise anywhere that you do pro bono coaching, people do get involved pretty quickly. So for me, I was quite fortunate in that situation that I could start choosing, and I was looking at the seniority of people. So I picked 5 or 6 people that, in my mind, on that in that situation, were the most suitable for my pro bono coaching program. So yeah, so it's not that difficult. I think if I was doing it now once again, I probably just would utilize my LinkedIn network a little bit more. I was a little bit hesitant back then because I was working full time. I didn't want someone at my work to think, why you're doing something else than your just regular work.
I
So that
see.
was my thinking back then. But now looking back, I definitely would utilize my LinkedIn network rather than posting somewhere, on other websites. So that would
I
be my
see.
advice.
Since we're on this topic, how are you utilizing LinkedIn today, or are you using other platforms in terms of looking for acquiring new clients?
I am quite active on social media, not super active, but I do post regularly. So something that I created for myself that I wanted to express my opinion on was something that I believe everyone is going to be able to relate to somehow. So for me, maybe let's start from a different perspective. Before I before I started thinking about who is going to be my ideal client, who is going to be the person that is going to benefit from my coaching the most and I will enjoy working with, I needed to decide what is going to be my niche, because just becoming a coach, executive coach, it's so broad that
Yeah.
it's almost like you aiming at anyone, and because of that you aiming at nobody. So I needed to decide what my niche is going to be. I've done quite a bit of thinking about it and discussing with others, and it came to me that resilience is something that I would like to focus on. So building resilience, whether it's for teams or individuals, that's something that sits very close to me. And based on that, I worked on something that I called Resilience Blueprint, which is basically steps spread across many weeks or months that make you stronger from resilience perspective, whether as an individual or as a team. And this way, from that point, I started picking the most valuable points. I think the most valuable points, which then I speak on the social media about. So, being a coach and working with professionals, yes, I do utilize all the platforms. So it's not just LinkedIn, but that's mainly for visibility. But LinkedIn is definitely the strongest one and the most effective one. So I do post 3 or 4 times a week on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Nothing big, simple posts, but I think quite punchy and quite effective.
Mhm.
And on top of that, I also am executive. Sorry, I am a contributor for the Brains magazine. So I write articles and post articles there in the magazine. Also write articles for to post on LinkedIn. So there's quite a bit of activity going on, but I'm trying to be active, but just to make sure that this doesn't take up too much of my time as well. So it's not my main focus.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard from other coaches too who have they create visibility on there's a coach in the UK. She regularly contributes to magazines or other publications, and so she gets clients coming through there because they see her name, they see her that she's published. There are links that go back and forth, and so it helps to boost her. And so doing that kind of work, it can significantly help to kind of bolster your credibility and authority as well, and it just creates more visibility in different networks where you just come up more often, right? So I think it's a great idea to join and to be a regular author contributor to other publications like that.
Yes, absolutely. What I would like to add to it is something that we shouldn't forget, because we, we post on the internet, we speak to people all over the world, but it's easy to forget your local people actually. So
Yeah,
what I also do, and that has been pointed out to me by my coach, so I have a coach as well. I have someone who coaches me,
that's
and it's
fantastic.
been pointed out. Yeah, it's actually it's been a very very useful engagement. But he pointed out to me recently, what about your local area? Like, why do you forget about these people? There are people who would benefit from your coaching as well. So I started getting busy with attending networking events, and
Mm.
as as funny as it might sound sometimes, they are very effective. And majority of time, if you pick the right networking events, you will meet
Yeah,
people that are very happy to talk to you, and either they will there is a potential they will become your clients, or they will eventually link you up with someone who can be your client. So that is something else that also I would advise that it's worth engaging with. Another thing, local radio stations often have time slots that they would very happily fill in.
yeah,
And yes, they would happily sit down and have an interview with you, speak on some interesting topic that relates to what you do. So that is another opportunity to explore. So there is much
yeah,
more. There's not just be there on the internet, because it's nowadays it's very easy to fall into that. I'm going to hide behind this computer screen. I don't want to show my face. I want to be coach. I want to be a coach. I want to speak to people, but let's do it from behind of the computer screen, and let's do it a bit with a level of anonymity where it is worth going out and talking there and putting yourself out there and making yourself be heard and seen as well.
yeah. Well, the one thing I would say is when you can go to a physical networking event in real life and you can speak with other people, it's much easier to build that relationship with people because they can see you and you can actually shake their hands, and so they know you're a real person. In my opinion, it's easier to build a relationship and trust with potential clients or potential people who can connect you with other people. And the other point I'd like to make is that a few years ago I read an article where yeah, public news outlets are always looking for interesting people to talk to and interview because they have to fill in these slots and these times. And so I think that's a great idea. Even the radio station. I rarely think about radio because I don't listen to it that often, but that's true. Like the radio stations and news networks are always looking for interesting people, and so you can always tap into that. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. If I can just add on that topic as well, because I'm like
Yeah,
you, who listens to the radios nowadays? We all listen to podcasts or watch podcasts. But
yeah,
the thing is that the radio stations, whether big or small, they do follow that trend as well, and they do realize that there isn't that many people that switch on the radio station and listen to the radio. So they also do something similar. So they will record an
yeah,
interview with you. They post it on their radio time, but they also turn it into podcast and they put it on their website or whatever podcast platform. So you benefit twice.
yeah,
So definitely, that's a great tool to have and utilize. So 100% would encourage anyone, if you have that possibility and you have your local radio station or stations, yeah, do it. Just go and speak to them and go and attend the events, networking events. not undermining the human, face to face connection is very important. And also from a perspective of getting out from your home office, from behind the computer, and actually going and talking to people live rather than just communicating through a video or phone call or
Yeah.
emails or messages. It gives you just different perspective, and you walk away from sitting behind your desk all the time. So
Yeah.
that's very good from that micro, maybe not micro rest, because you still do your work, but you change the environment, and you start looking at things a bit differently from different perspectives. So very important from that perspective as well.
Yeah. And I think, well, we all lived through COVID, so we all spent a lot of time behind our computers and at home. And so especially for me too, whenever I get a chance to get out of the house and to work from somewhere else or to network, I try to jump on those chances because after a while you kind of just become desperate for it sometimes. Real human interaction. For you, because the work you did, so you also mentioned you had your own business before, and you were doing. I mean, the casino industry is. I'm not very familiar with it, but I assume it's very dynamic, and there's always very interesting people and things going on. But now, as you're running your own business, what's been something interesting or surprising for you in this phase of your career and of in your life?
Very good question. Let me think. So definitely, casino industry is very vibrant. There's a lot going on all the time. From the point where, or from the perspective of what I do now, I think the most surprising is, I suppose, the conversations when you have conversations with senior managers from the perspective of a coach, and you build that relationship with them already. It's surprising how much of just normal human people they are, and they have normal human emotions and normal human problems. When you work, whether you work for a big company or a small company, and you have your bosses and you have people somewhere high up, at the top of the ladder, and you think about them a little bit almost like they are robots, that they just come, they do their job, they know exactly what to do, and they don't make any mistakes. It's also because they want to be perceived this way. They want to be perceived as someone who is super reliable, that you can just
Yeah.
follow them because they are very strong leaders. But then when you start talking to them, you start realizing that actually, what the things that they deal with, they're just very humane, they're just very normal problems,
Mhm.
and they have no one that they could speak to. That they very often, that's a very lonely job that they do. So then you find yourself in a position where you don't become just like their chat buddy, but you become someone who they actually really really need and really appreciate. So that was probably one of the most surprising things for me, moving from the industry where you deal with a lot of people every single day, a lot of customers, a lot of things going on, very very dynamic, but kind of on a surface, when now you speak to just few people every day instead of hundreds of people every day, but you go much deeper into the conversation. So that is something very very different.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something there where, executives and leaders in organizations, there's a lot in there that, yeah, they want to be perceived in a certain way, or they feel like they have to look a certain way, or like there are some leaders who feel like I need to have all of the solutions, or I need to, I can't show like I'm worried or concerned. And so lots of different theories and thinking behind, what does a good leader look like. But in all of that, I think being a leader, being an executive, can be a very isolating and solitary kind of role. And so I think from the conversations that I've had with other coaches, like, it is really important for these leaders to have coaches to talk to. It becomes very difficult for them to find and to speak with others. You didn't become a coach to be a marketer, but if you want to build a sustainable business, you need a system that works for you while you're coaching. Coach Ops is designed to help you go from unpredictable referrals to a reliable marketing system without it feeling pushy or salesy. If you're ready to build something systematic, visit kyber5.com/coach ops.
There is a lot of that, and quite often actually. And surprisingly, it varies depending on the region, on the part of the world. Senior leaders very, very often find themselves in a situations where they are the ones who have to make the final decisions, and it's not always. So it's very rarely that they, apart from their advisors or managers that are on a team that they can go and have discussions with, they have no one else to talk to. And I'm not talking just about regular conversations about I faced this problem or I faced that problem. It's going deeper and breaking down the whatever issues they are dealing with and solving the problem so they can achieve the goal that they have in mind. Luckily now more and more people are realizing that having a coach is not having someone who is gonna help you because you are struggling with something or you are underperforming. It's actually dealing with someone, or having a coach, it's having someone who is help you to become even better than you are at the moment. So like
Yeah.
super famous sports people, they also have coaches. Only because
Yeah.
you become an Olympic athlete doesn't mean that you're gonna fire your coach because you're that good that you don't need a coach anymore. No, you're super good. You had a coach through your career, but now you want to be
Yeah.
even better. So you're going to get yourself a coach, or you will work with a coach that you have already because you just want to become better. So it's
Exactly.
constant working and going through processes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a funny thing because if you're taking your job seriously, if you're taking your role very seriously, you want to get better. And you can read the books, or you can find teachers to teach you, but if you can find a coach who can help you to, depending on what you're focusing on, to either think through like the business aspects of things or thinking through how to be a better manager leader, the most effective way to do it is when you can work with somebody one to one, because whatever situation you're going through, the problems that you're having, you can have a direct conversation and you can work through that. And it's exactly like sports coaches, right? Because if you have a problem like with your dribble or with your shooting, or if you're like, in golf with your swing, you're going to work with a coach and they're going to isolate that one problem that you have and work on that until you fixed it. You can watch the videos to kind of figure out, okay, what do I need to do? But it's really hard for you to be outside your own body and see yourself, right? And so that's why
Yeah,
coaches are there.
yeah, exactly that. That's spot on. So the coach is there to work with you, to break down the problem and to push you, go beyond of either beyond your thinking barriers or beyond of whatever obstacles there are. So exactly, you described it really, really, really well. You can try to do it yourself. How effective is that going to be, and how long it's going to take you? If you work with someone else, as you said, you can't. It's difficult to look at yourself, step out of your body and your mind, and look at yourself. When you work with a coach, that's what the coach does for you.
Yeah. And I would even say, like, for you yourself, right? You have your own coach. The only reason you need your own coach is because you're trying to continually get better. Because as good as a coach that as you may be, it's very difficult for you to coach yourself, right? And so,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I have tried that. Try coaching yourself, but it's very difficult. It's not just that you will take a pill and it's going to work on you. So having a coach, again, having someone who is giving you a different perspective, and whether it's a professional coach that you're going to work with, now I'm talking from the perspective of running a coaching practice, whether it's a professional coach that you can work with, or if you're at the early stages, you don't have a budget, you can't invest in having a coach, professional coach that's going to support you. Find someone who you can talk to, but don't look for someone who is just going to be yes man. So find someone who is going to challenge you as well and is going to be a devil's advocate if necessary, and if necessary going to say that's not really the right way of thinking, so think about it in a different way. So just they will keep challenging you. but it's definitely beneficial to just bounce ideas, as we know, as with everything in life.
As we're talking about this, I get the feeling that you've had a few of the leaders that you've worked with who've really kind of needed somebody like you, a coach, to help them to work through some things. Are there any stories that you'd care to share of these situations?
Yes, there was one particular situation that really was probably a very, very good example of someone utilizing a coach. So I got a phone call, or first a message, Saturday afternoon it was, and someone telling me there is that position that I really would like to get. I've applied for that position. I went through a first stage of interviews. There is a last stage of interviews, and I really need to get this position. So we got on the phone, we had a conversation for a few hours. So when he went to an interview on that Monday, he went with much more confidence, and he did get the job. Quite high position within the company, that was the COO. And from that point on, because he already started building a relationship with me, or we started building a relationship, with each other, he knew he can rely on me, he can trust me. So we took it from that point, as a new person in the company. So he went through the whole process of, starting getting into the new business. And then, surprisingly enough, the company he was now managing was going through a merger with another company. So that was something really big that we could continue working on. So to me, that was just really, really big example of, how you can utilize having a coach. And I know what, as coaches, we very often hear that it's very, very difficult to provide some tangible results of your coaching, because a lot of coaching relates to change in behavior. It's not often that you have such a clear, visible results very quickly. So for me, that was like, well, you know what? This is just like a prime example. That is not something that happens very often. I don't think many people would get on the phone with a coach and take that chance. But to me, it's like, well, yeah, if you can do it, if you have a chance to do that, yeah, just get on the phone. And if nothing else, then even if it's not a coach that you have a contract with, I think many coaches have a similar mindset. They would be, you know what? Yeah, of course I'm going to help you. So yeah, that's one of the stories. Very very early in my coaching career as well, and great relationship.
Currently, you're running your business as a solo, correct?
Yes, I'm a sole trader. Yeah.
Okay. And uh, since you've had business experience running your own business before, were there any challenges that have come up in this last year that you weren't expecting or prepared for?
Yes, as you would expect, because it's a different type of business that I am running now, and the thing with coaching is that when you get your qualification and you start coaching, your thinking is, well, I got the qualification, I have a few hours of pro bono coaching already, so where the hell are all the clients? Why are they not knocking on my door saying, coach me? But it doesn't work like that. So the coaching process of what you do as a coach becomes, I don't want to say a minimal part of running your business, because it's the most vital part of running your business. But you know what? It's you can have the best service, you can provide the best service, but it's useless if you can't market it, and it's useless if you can't sell it. So you need to learn how to people about the services that you provide, and you need to learn how to sell yourself as a coach. So to me, that was quite a difficult part at the beginning. Finding the right way of doing it, and how do you present yourself. There are also millions and millions, or maybe hundreds of thousands of coaches worldwide, and how you're going to do it that you will stand out. How will you present yourself to your potential clients? So that was quite difficult at the beginning.
So how are you approaching the sales cycle now?
I think the biggest realization for me was that when I speak to my potential clients, or maybe first before I even start having a conversation with them, I need to, first of all, it's not what I offer, it's what they need. So it's not me talking about, I can provide you with this and I can provide you with that. It's more about, you have these problems, I can help you to solve them. And then from the marketing perspective, it's not about talking the way I want to see it being, presented. It's about how the people on the other end want to see it presented. So it's talking as them, not talking as myself. So I go about it this way now.
I see. And for you to understand the potential clients, the problems that they're facing, are you just doing kind of going through like a questionnaire when you're on that call, or are you sending them like a qualification form prior? What are you kind of doing to understand that?
Yeah. So when we get to the point already when we have that first conversation or intake session, I do utilize an assessment tool. So when you do coaching, you need to have a process in place. So before you get to the point where you sit down and you're going to start your coaching sessions, you need to have something that is going to engage a client. Assessment tools are very useful if it's a good assessment. The one I use, I think, is brilliant because it shows changes in the behavior over time. So it's quite thorough. It takes about 30 minutes to complete for the person, but also the results they're getting when they complete it, which we then discuss when we sit down and have our first intake session. They are very, very striking for the person. So that's what I do, and that is the point for me to start discussing as what problems they are dealing with.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think, yeah, uses of assessment tools or like a form to understand where they're coming from is a great way to kind of qualify leads, but also to get a good understanding and picture of who they are and the problems that they're facing, so that you can communicate how you can help them through those issues. For you, is there anything that you're using now to help you to manage your client sessions, or any software or tools that you're using in your coaching business?
Yes, yeah. I think it's very, very important to have a platform where you can manage your, coaching sessions, especially when you start getting clients and there's a number of them, because you need a place where you safely keep your coaching contracts. You need a place where you keep all your notes from coaching if you take notes. Well, it can be just normal regular diary, but it's good if you have it saved digitally, and then you can send it to the person, after the coaching session. And also, probably the most important place where you can track the goals and the progress of the person that you coach. So it is important to have a platform that you can utilize for that. There's a number of them, on the market that you can utilize. I decided to go with the same platform that provides the assessment because I can link it all in one place. But yes, I would say absolutely you need to have that. You must have it. It's a must. It's something that you need to utilize for your practice, coaching practice.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of helps you to keep your a system and framework to go through it. I was actually working on a post about that, where it's, if you have a system and framework for your coaching, right? What you should have one for the business for coaching, right? Because it helps you to organize yourself, it helps you to create a systematic process, and it kind of reduces your own mental stress, right? Because it's always in this place, the system and the process how to do it. You're not always trying to make up a new thing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps you manage the time as well, because if you have everything there and you follow your processes of managing the coaching process, it becomes your routine. It helps you manage your time. It frees up time as well because you have it there. You learn how to do it properly, and it always takes quite a bit of time to prepare yourself before the session and then to do the work after the session as well. And if you have it all nicely structured, once you're gonna get into the routine, it just becomes smoother and easier. And all the admin that is around coaching, it doesn't carry that much burden. So it's
Yeah.
definitely, I can't recommend it enough to utilize that.
For you, as we're kind of coming to the close of our conversation today, what is something that you've learned about yourself as you've become a coach?
That's another good question. First thing that I've learned about myself, that when I started doing coaching full time, was that I don't know what I don't know. So, as I've mentioned already, I went into full time coaching with this mindset of, I'm a certified coach, and come on, people, come and let me coach you. But it's only when talking to a very experienced coaches and working with my coach, I realized that there's still so many things that I can correct and I can become so much better, not with the art of coaching, but also with running the business. So for me, it sits well with me because I do really enjoy developing and learning. So for me, exploring that and learning new things, that's brilliant because I find myself in a position where I do what I really enjoy doing, but I also keep learning all the time. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's brilliant. But the first learning for me about myself was absolutely that I didn't know what I don't know.
Yeah, and that's always a good thing to learn because if you go through life thinking I know everything, well, you'll quickly learn you don't know everything.
Absolutely. And also if you do things and you don't encounter any difficulties or troubles, you're probably just coasting. You're not
Yeah.
going into depth. And running your own business, running your own practice, getting engaged with people which hold very senior, very, very serious positions, you will always come across difficulties. And you just need to, learn to take it with a bit of a distance and start solving whatever issues you have. Just pick one at a time and start solving the problems, finding
Yeah.
solutions, whether it's for yourself or others.
What would be one piece of advice you'd give someone who's just beginning their coaching journey today?
I would say have faith in yourself. You are much stronger than you think, and just go ahead, set a goal, make a plan, and go for it.
Yeah, that's great. And the last question that I have for you, I know this is still your kind of your first year as a full-time coach, but what do you think is next for you in your second year as a full-time coach?
So second year for me, that is polishing my all the processes that I do. So definitely my marketing to become better, my exposure to become better, my selling process to become better as well. So growing my practice, acquiring more clients, getting more stability as well, and that includes building longer lasting relationships with my clients. And then the next step, possibly the next year after, would be to try to expand my practice as well and start cooperation with other coaches. Possibly maybe getting engaged with someone who is where I am now, help them grow, and then start working together.
Fantastic. Well, Lukasz, thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I wish you the best of luck in your coaching business as you continue to grow. And, you are the resilience coach, so I'm sure you will continue to resiliently build your coaching practice.
Thank you very much, David. It was a pleasure. And as always, if there's anyone that would like to reach out and just have a conversation with me, have a bit of a chat, then yes, please go ahead. I'm always very happy and always find time to speak to someone.
Yes, so I was just about to ask, where can people find you?
Yes, so I do have my own website, and that's basically my first name and surname.com. So it's lukaszkalinowski.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn quite active. So just search by my name or look for Resilience Architect on LinkedIn as well, and you'll be able to find me.
I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Want to stop guessing and start building a marketing system that actually fills your calendar? Head to kyber5.com/coachops and let's get systematic. That's it for today's episode. I hope you grabbed something useful you can actually apply in your business. If you did, leave a comment or share it with a friend. And hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you next week.